Well, hey, good afternoon. My name is Travis, and I am the digital marketing manager here at Bitwise. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a few minutes and we are going to share with you the scary truth about social media. We want to share some of the tricks and treats that we have learned along the way that we believe could be really helpful for you and for your organization. Before we jump into that, first of all, happy Halloween. Hope you guys have a great day. Have fun. Be safe. It's a great day. And don't overeat. It's going to hurt your stomach. But in all seriousness, welcome. Glad you're here. Happy Halloween. If you would, go ahead and click that like button and like our Facebook page if you haven't already. And then if you would, go ahead, jump on over to our Twitter page at Bitwise Indiana. Follow us on Twitter. That's going to be the best way for you to stay connected and updated with us as we share different things that we're learning, things that we believe will be helpful for you, not only in regards to social media, but also web development, creative, digital marketing, all of those components. We're going to be sharing that stuff there, so we want to make sure you guys don't miss it. All right, let's go ahead and jump into this. The goal is to keep this to about 15 minutes. We know that you guys are busy and that you guys have a lot of things on your plate, so we want to just get diving in real fast. All right, here we go. The first thing, there is not a cookie cutter approach to social media. So there's nothing that you can do. You can't take what somebody else is doing and implement that for your organization. You know, the easy thing to do is to go to the big brands, go to Nike, Apple, Red Bull, some of those great brands that do social media so well, and just say, well, we're just going to copy them. We're going to do exactly what they're doing because it's working. So we're going to do what they're doing. I'm just here to tell you that's just not going to work. Just as organizations are different, people are different. And so what works for one organization may not work for another organization. So there's no cookie cutter approach to that. People are different and so are their organizations. So make sure you keep that in mind as we go through this. The next thing is that social media is essentially free marketing. Social media is essentially free marketing. The majority of people today use some sort of social platform every day. So did you know that there's over 90 different social networks? Depending on which country or region of the world that you're in, you have access to over 90 different social networks. I want to give you some stats on some of the biggest social networks, and obviously the biggest one is Facebook. Facebook has 1.71 billion, yes, billion with a B, 1.71 billion users. That's insane. Think about that, 1.71 billion people. The next closest is Twitter with 695 million. Instagram's got 500 million. Google Plus has 375 million. LinkedIn's got 313 million. And Pinterest rounds it off with 73.5 million users. This is insane. So when we think about marketing and we think about getting our brand or getting our organization out in front of people, out into the public, we should probably go where the public is, and these numbers show us that the public is on social media. It's really important that you think about this a little bit differently. You know, traditionally, marketing is a little obtrusive. It's a little, it can be a little annoying at times. It can be a little in your face, which, you know, is scary. But what we're trying to do here on social media is we're trying to provide quality and help to our users and to the people that are engaging with us. And so that's the goal behind it. But social media is essentially free. It requires time, but it is free in cost. The next thing is not every social network is a good fit for you or for your organization. Now, I know you're thinking, well, Facebook, they've got, 1.71 billion, so we've got to jump on there. I mean, look at the reach we could have if we jumped onto Facebook. We could do Facebook and Twitter, and we could just do all the top ones because that's where everybody is. Well, that's great, but that might not be the best approach for you or for your organization. There are 4 things that we recommend that you do here. The first is a competitive analysis. This is knowing what your competitors are doing. So it's important not only to know who your competitors are, that's a really important first step. But second, you've got to know what they're doing. What are they talking about? What are their clients talking about? What are they liking? What are they sharing? What kind of content are they doing? You've got to do a competitive analysis, do the work behind it, and figure out what your competition is doing. The second is huge. This is one of the things that I think makes the biggest difference is you've got to do customer personas. You've got to know who it is that you are targeting. You know, if you don't aim, you're going to miss or you're going to hit it every time. You've got to aim. You've got to know who you're going after. You've got to know what type of client you're going after. What a customer persona is it's basically a fictional person that you've created that you say, okay, I know that they are this type of person, they're busy, they're this, they've got kids, they work in this industry, and it kind of just builds this persona that helps you as you begin to create content, as you begin to share, as you begin to engage. So it's really important to know who your customers are, or it's really important to know who your competitors are. It's important to know who your customers are. The next thing is social listening. This is really important, and a lot of companies, they don't want to do this because ignorance is bliss. Well, that's not true either. You know, one of the things you've got to do is you've got to know what is going on, what is being said about you, what is being said about your organization, and you've got to be a part of that. You know, if you're not a part of it and you just ignore it, that doesn't mean it's not happening. So you've got to be listening to what people are saying. What are people saying about your brand? What are people commenting or talking about in regards to your brand online? You've got to socially listen. And then the last component of this is the analytics. The analytics, they don't lie. This is kind of the back-end data that helps drive and reinforce all of these things that we're talking about. They drive the competitive analysis. They drive the customer persona. They reaffirm everything that we're learning in those processes. So it's really important, if you're going to pick a social network to be on, you've got to do these things, because just going with the biggest isn't going to cut it. You've got to know where your customers are, what they're doing, what they're talking about, and this type of research gives you the ammo to pick which social networks you need to be on, when you need to be posting, what kind of content you need to be posting. So this stuff is really, really important. And going back to the first point, you know, there's not a cookie cutter approach to social media. This stuff proves that. When you begin doing this research, you're going to see that you can't take what Red Bull is doing and use that for your organization, because your customers are different. What they're going through, what's happening in their life, what's happening in their location is different. And so you've got to do this research. So let's recap real fast. We're going to keep going, but I want to make sure that you don't miss any of these. The first is there's not a cookie cutter approach to social media. The second is social media is essentially free. The people are there, so we should utilize it. The third is that not every social media or every social network is right for you or for your organization. Let's keep going. Don't confuse your customer. This is really important. As you are engaging and interacting online, it's really important that you keep your brand voice consistent across all networks. So if you're doing some email marketing, if you're doing Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all of these different social places, you've got to keep consistent with that. So, you know, you can't have one name for your Facebook page and a completely different name for your Twitter handle. You can't do that. You've got to make it easy for clients to find you and to follow you and to stay updated with what you are doing. Number 5, the fifth thing, high quality content creates more interaction, which turns into more leads. You know, we talked about this a little bit earlier with outbound marketing. So traditional marketing is kind of in your face. It's not really something you're looking for. It's TV commercials, it's radio ads, it's newspaper ads, it's stuff that you're not looking for. But what we're doing here is we're doing what is called inbound marketing. And inbound marketing provides or adds value to your customers. So what you're doing is you are helping your customer solve a problem. So I wrote a blog about this just about a week and a half ago and talked about something that was near and dear to my heart, which was smoking meat. I love to cook barbecue. And so what I did, I wanted to build my own smoker. And so I went on Google and I said, what kind of welder do I need to build a smoker? And the first thing that came up with it was a blog article, a blog post by a well-known welding company. And what they did is they went through that article, they answered all my questions about different types of welders and different things that I needed to know and be aware of and think through, stuff that I didn't even know I needed to know. All I wanted to know was what type I needed. But what they did was they added value to me. They helped me. In their blog posts, they weren't selling me one of their welders. What they were doing was they were helping me solve my problem. And what they did in return is they built brand recognition. They built brand loyalty. So when I want to go and buy a welder, you know exactly which brand I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the brand that helped me with what I was trying to do. So it's really important that your content is high quality and adds value to your users. If your content is poor, you're not going to get any return on social media. Your content has to be high quality and it has to add value. The goal, depending on where your customers are at in the sales funnel, the goal isn't necessarily to sell them. Like I said, in that blog article that I wrote or that I read about welders, they weren't trying to sell me. They were trying to help me. And so your your content needs to create value and it needs to help. Number 6, plan out your posts. Plan them out. Plan time to engage with your customers. Social media isn't something that you can do at the end of the day as, your last thing when you're bored and when you're tired and when you're just wanting the day to be over. You can't go on and write one quick tweet and be like, oh, I did my social media. That doesn't work. This is something that has to be done strategically. There's a lot of noise out there. There are a lot of people with 1.71 billion people on Facebook. That's a lot of people you're competing with. So your content has to be high quality and you've got to take the time to do it. This is where strategy comes in. This is where being intentional comes in. Social media can't be an afterthought. It has to be something that you plan on and something that you think through on a regular basis. So plan out your post. Make sure that as you're going through this, that you're thinking about it and you're thinking about your customer, you're thinking about your potential customers, and you're adding value to what they're doing. Go on and engage with them. Have a conversation with them. Just like in real life, if you were having a face-to-face conversation with somebody, if they said hi or if they said thanks for a great meal, you wouldn't ignore them. Don't do that on social media either. This is simple stuff. We're interacting with people. People were created for relationships. They want that. So even though it's digital, you still have to engage. You still have to respond. One of those best practices is responding in about 3 hours. 3 to 4 hours is a great time. If you're after 3 to 4 hours, the customer thinks you've forgotten about them or that everything's automatic. There's no humanity behind it. So make sure that you're engaging with your customers on a regular basis. They will appreciate it. And the last thing is this. The numbers don't lie. If something isn't working, fix it. So it's important to go back to all of those things. It's important to go back to the competitive analysis. It's important to go back to your customer personas. It's important to go back to your analytics. It's important to go back through those things because you need to evaluate if things are working. And on this, because it's Halloween and I feel like giving away something for free, I'm going to give you one extra that's not even on the list. It's important to go back through these things and to engage with your customers. But it's going to take time. Social media isn't something that's going to happen right away. It's not something where you're going to go viral overnight. You can't send out one tweet and think, oh, we're done. And it's not going to work. You've got to spend time on this and you've got to give it time. Building relationships takes time, and that's what we're doing on social media, is we're building relationships with our clients and with our potential clients. So make sure that you have that understanding as you go into it. Well, I know we're at the end of our time. It's been about 15 minutes. That's been a lot of information. Real fast, if you have any questions, feel free to type in a question at the bottom. I can see those, and I would love to answer any questions that you may have. So let me know. But once again, I just want to encourage you, make sure that you like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. We would love to connect with you and love to engage with you. And if you think of any questions that you may have after this, feel free to tweet us or to write on our Facebook. We would love to connect with you and build those relationships with you. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to be doing these every once in a while. And so we